It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Manic Monday, it's very good evening, Zimbabwe. Welcome to your favorite sports show, ZiFM Sport, live on ZiFM Stereo, my station, your station. Great show we got lined up for you, and it's brought to you by a great team. That team is Christine Midzi, Barry Malandi, Alois Munjira. I am Mike Madoda, and the man behind the desk making us all tick and sound good is our producer, Sean Tafirinika. Lots and lots of exciting stuff happened over the weekend. On the home front, no doubt you'll be aware that Norman Mapeza, Mshinaoma Juzi Nomara is back with champions FC Platinum, and he's currently putting them through their paces as they prepare for the CAF Champions League preliminary round clash against Mozambican side Costa do Sol. We'll be getting an inside word from within the FC Platinum camp a bit later on during the home front. We also have some international sports news for you. Rugby is front and center. Jake White says that the Bulls' immediate success under him hasn't surprised him in the slightest, as the Loftus franchise were confirmed as the Super Rugby Unlocked champions on Saturday. So it is a wonderful show that we got lined up for you. So no matter where you are, whether you're driving in your car, you're sitting at home, grab yourself a coffee, grab yourself a drink, a beer if you will, if you're down at the pub. Don't forget about the lockdown measures and the curfew. 10 p.m. you must be back home, but this is just after 6 p.m. and the show must go on.
And around the world in 60, we begin in England, where Russian Daniil Medvedev said he wants to be part of a new series of long-running rivalries in men's tennis after beating Dominic Thiem to win the ATP Finals title last night. In Australia, David Warner says he'll weigh up skipping some tours in 2021, with cricket's biosecure bubble putting a strain on how much time can be spent with his family. And in the United States, the Boston Celtics and star forward Jason Tatum agreed to a 5-year, $195 million max extension as NBA free agency got underway in frenetic fashion during the weekend.
We'll take a break for our Manic Monday player of the day. Then it's time for the Castle Lager World Football Report, and we kick off in the Premier League, where Jose Mourinho said his amazing Tottenham beat Manchester City on strategy, as a vintage show from the Portuguese boss sent his side top of the table. In La Liga, Barcelona's Gerard Piqué has sustained a serious knee injury, with the defender expected to be out for at least 2 months following their 1-0 loss to Atletico Madrid on Saturday. And in Serie A, Romelu Lukaku admitted that his flawed Inter Milan side still can't be considered a great team after his double helped to complete a thrilling second-half comeback from 2 goals down to beat Torino 4-2. All of that and so much more to look forward to in this edition of ZiFM Sport. Our power play is first. I Got a Friend, it's called. It's by David O, featuring Maya Kun and Shoma Josie.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Lots to get through, so let's get straight into it. On the home front, Norman Mapeza says it feels great to be back at his former team FC Platinum, as he's currently overseeing training sessions in preparation for the CAF Champions League preliminary round clash against Mozambican side Costa do Sol. FC Platinum resolved to part ways with coach Peter de Jong following CAF's refusal to grant de Jong a special dispensation to sit on the bench during the interclub matches without the mandatory CAF A coaching license. Now, with the Dutchman ineligible to sit on the bench, the club felt he cannot steer the team to meet their expectations and opted to restore Mapeza, who holds the required qualifications. Let's hear from the returning Norman Mapeza.
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great, as you are aware that I've been here for quite some time. And it's nice. It's good to see everybody here. Everybody looking well. You can see everybody's in good health. And I just can't wait to work. Look, I still have to see what is on the ground. It's always difficult, to give yourself some targets at the end of the year, at the end of it. But we have to work. And we have to continue from where the guys left. And as you are aware that we are living a massive game over the weekend. That is against Costa del Sol. So preparation starts today. We have to start preparing today.
Z.
Now, Barry, hardly a surprising development, this one. Peter de Jong has been cut loose. But what is a surprise is that Norman Mapeza returns to champions AFC Platinum.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, in truth, if we want to look at the glass being half full and look at the positives, I think a quick decision was made. They looked at who was available, who knew the club, who could steer the club, because they've got, of course, as you mentioned earlier, that match against Costa del Sol coming up. And the decision was made quickly to bring back Norman Mapeza. If we want to then look at the negatives, then you've got to say, look, the inquest must carry on, even though they've made the appointment, to say they shouldn't have been led into this situation to begin with, because due diligence wasn't followed. Number two, they should have at least been able to steer through these very choppy waters a lot more successfully had that due diligence been done. So hopefully somebody is going to be held to account for this later on, but I think that's just picking the meat off the bones. But right now, the good thing is that they've appointed Norman. He knows the club knows what to do.
Well, whilst on the issue of positives, Chris, I guess one of the positives is that FC Platinum have been very quick to deal with this issue, and they've moved very quickly to make sure that there is no power vacuum at their team.
And that's incredibly important, I think, especially if you're going into a CAF Champions League preliminary round where you've already had a lot of uncertainty in terms of your preparations. I think it was important to very quickly get someone who, like Barry said, already knows the team. Norman Mapeza is the best. I think we can say a lot of things, but I think what FC Platinum will always acknowledge is that he is the best and he can get the job done. So in order to seal that power vacuum, to ensure that the team carries on very quickly, and kudos to them for making this decision, which may not necessarily have been an easy one, to go back to a coach who they had parted ways with.
Alois, Chris says Norman Mapeza is the best, and he'll find out in Zvishavane arguably the best squad in local football. He left it when it was in rude health with a lot of really good players, but they've gone on to add the likes of Stanley Ngala. Those players have come in, and he's been really, really good lead in the line for FC Platinum, having joined from Manica Diamonds. And so he finds an even bigger and better squad. Norman Mapeza, Denzel Kumalo, Brian Banda, all those players have joined ranks with the Platinum Miners.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Mike. That probably has got the best squad in the country. But the situation at the moment right now is very tricky. He is finding a team of players who haven't been playing for some time, and he is finding new players that, Norman has got his own style of playing, which is totally mostly different from a lot of coaches. So he will have to make do with what he has got without pre-season with the players. He is just going to arrive and try to implement something to get by against Costa del Sol. So him, as much as we might believe that he is one of the best coaches in the country, best squad, but with this coming game, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult, because he has got new players, his style of play, no pre-season with the players and all. So it might not be as smooth as we might want. Maybe going forward, probably when we go to the next round, if they manage to just scrape through this round and get it to the next round, maybe that's when we can actually start seeing his hand in the team. But for now, I think it's just going to be riding by luck.
I like what Alois has said there, because in truth, if you look at the squad, it was assembled by Peter de Jong. He was definitely, all the signings that he made, and you ran through some of the names there, he made quite a few. It's a squad that was assembled for Peter de Jong and for the way that Peter de Jong played, which we caught a glimpse of when he was at Highlanders, and then of course in that the Castle Lager Challenge Cup, which was meant to be the precursor to the start of the season. We saw players like Perfect Chikwende playing out of their skins. He played under Norman Mapeza, but he was a completely different player and used very differently by Peter de Jong. So I agree with Alois to say there is a bedding in period, and I hope that the hierarchy at FC Platinum realize that, and I hope that and aren't going to put pressure on Norman to just come and swing a magic wand and suddenly deliver miracles. I think there's going to be a bedding in period. Hopefully that bedding in period isn't too diabolical, and then after the bedding in period we'll see the new Norman Mapeza FC Platinum.
Chris, that bedding in period, is it going to be a time where perhaps some of the new players that were brought in, like Barry has pointed out, these were players brought in by Peter de Jong, not necessarily by Norman Mapeza. Is it a period where they may be uncertain, unsure of whether they are in Norman's plans, whether they suit Norman's plans and Norman's way of playing?
It's going to be uncertain for them. I think whenever you have a coach, and I think this time we can say a newish coach, because this is a different season for FC Platinum, it's a different time, and like you said, they had created an almost different team. So it's going to be uncertain for the players, and I think as a coach, I think to some extent you'll always revert to your reliables in the team. You revert to the players that you know for sure can deliver. So that presents some uncertainty for the players at FC Platinum. But I think what Norman Mapeza has is a good eye for players in any scenario. So I think he's gone in now. He's taking a look at even those new players. So in as much as it presents uncertainty, I think for any player, it again presents an opportunity for you to prove yourself. And Norman Mapeza is a coach who can see talent in a player, and he'll be able to bring those players into his quote-unquote team.
Oh, well, they've got it to do versus Costa do Sol. It won't be easy, but FC Platinum certainly have it in them to get a result out in Mozambique and hopefully finish the job here in Zimbabwe. Get in touch with us with your thoughts, your views on Twitter at ZiFM Sport. That's the handle you need to follow and interact with, or even in our individual capacities at Barry Manandi, at Christine Midzi, at Shonta Ferinyika, at Gazaman14 if you want to chat to Alois Bunjira, or myself at Mike Madura. This is ZiFM Sport. Quick update for you before we give you the rest of your local sports news. The Zimbabwe Football Association, ZiFM, have denied deliberately breaching CAF and COSAFA under-17 competition rules after Zimbabwe, along with three others, Botswana, Comoros, as well as Eswatini, were disgracefully booted out of the tournament for alleged age cheating. This, of course, is happening at the under-17 COSAFA Cup out in South Africa. And it means that Zimbabwe miss out on an opportunity to qualify for the 2021 African Under-17 Cup of Nations. Quick comment from you, Chris. This is a national embarrassment. I'm surprised that we haven't heard anything from the Minister of Sport, Kirsty Coventry, neither from the SRC.
It's a complete national embarrassment. I think, first of all, the platform. This is an under-17 COSAFA competition. So first of all, we've been embarrassed on an international platform. I think as well, if the due diligence was done in order to ensure that there was no age cheating, I think that those addresses need to be made by, like you mentioned, the Minister of Sport, the SRC. Those are people who need to come out and address the issue. And we haven't seen that yet. Hopefully they're in today, they're sorting it out. But this is incredibly embarrassing, and the dent that it makes that we can't then qualify for the 2021 AFCON is incredibly problematic for that next batch of players that we hope to be playing in the national team at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we hope to hear that someone has taken responsibility at some time in Botswana. The CEO of the Botswana Football Association has already fallen on his sword as the inquisition around their disqualification continues just across the border in Botswana. We hope that someone will be able to take responsibility here in Zimbabwe, or at least provide a credible explanation.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport. Z.
Let's give you a local sports news roundup, starting with cricket, where former Zimbabwe cricket captain Brendan Taylor is set to take part in the inaugural Lanka Premier League T20 franchise competition after joining one of the 5 teams, Kandy Tuskers. Candy Tuskers are one of the favourites to win the LPL, which is scheduled to run from the 26th of November to the 16th of December in Sri Lanka. Now, the 34-year-old wicketkeeper batsman comes in as a replacement for the legendary Chris Gale, who decided against joining the side for the T20 competition. On to hockey news now as the under-21 squads go gear up in their Junior World Cup qualifiers build-up. The coaches have made it clear they need to make the most of the remaining few months before the competition. The under-21s are set to fight for a place in the Junior World Cup at the qualifiers in Ghana in March next year. The squads got their practice sessions underway during the weekend, with the men's side having 3 groups in Harare, Chiredzi and Bulawayo. Wrap it up with handball news, where Zimbabwe will have to wait a little bit longer to host the International Handball Federation Trophy Zone 6 tournament after they agreed with their regional counterparts to move the event to next year. The competition was initially set for April, but had to be indefinitely postponed due to the coronavirus outbreak. However, as the situation appeared to be getting better and lockdown measures being relaxed, the Zimbabwe Handball Federation had hoped to host the event before the end of the year.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
All right, the staple of Monday shows is, of course, our Castle Lager World Football Report, which comes up in the second half of the show, where we wrap up all the leagues around the world, especially when league football is on, and we don't have an international break until next year, so it's going to be a nice ride. Today is no different. But first, let's give you an international sports news roundup, and then we'll go around the world in 60. International Sports News Roundup, we're talking rugby, where Jake White says the Bulls' immediate success under him hasn't surprised in the slightest, as the Loftus franchise were confirmed as the Super Rugby Unlocked champions on Saturday. The Bulls confirmed their status as champions with a workmanlike 21-5 win over the Pumas at Loftus Versfeld. Let's hear from Bulls winning captain Duane Vermeulen.
It's a win. It's not the best game. It's definitely not the best performance. And like I've been saying the past couple of weeks, we're working on our consistency, and this wasn't good enough. But we'll take the win at the end. The first time in 10 years. So it's great to see the Bulls, stepping up a gear, getting some silverware in the cupboard, and I know it's difficult times that we are in, and we know the fans are back home and watching us and supporting us. So obviously from our side, we want to say thank you for all the support, and for the people that stuck with us through the difficult times. So really happy where we are, happy where we are going, and hopefully there's more to come.
Z.
Mikey, nice blend of youth and experience in the Bulls outfit, not least of all their captain Duane Vermeulen. And then, of course, it doesn't hurt to have a coach who's won the World Cup. So no surprises there that the Bulls are crowned champions, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Clearly the best side in South African rugby, Barry, and I think you nailed it when you talked about the blend between youth and experience. I mean, the captain who we've just heard from there is Duane Vermeulen, one of the standout loose forwards in world rugby. He's been there, he's done that, he's been there when South Africa has been in the pits and not playing well, and he was also there when South Africa won the Rugby World Cup in Japan. So very experienced campaigner. He brings knowledge of the game, and he brings leadership. And then they also have the likes of Trevor Nyakane as well, one of the indigenous players in South Africa who's done very well for himself at indigenous level, and of course just shoring up the numbers in the Springbok squad. But then they've got the likes, of course, Barry, of Arantse, the likes of Steenkamp. Those are young players who are looking to stake a claim within South African rugby, and so they played their hearts out. They performed whenever they got a run out under Jake White. But the glue that holds them together is Jake White. He's one of the best coaches in world rugby, very experienced, knows the lay of the land in South Africa, and it's not surprising that the Bulls are doing this well.
Yeah, no surprise at all. But the Bulls themselves didn't have it all their own way. Rather competitive Super Rugby Unlocked in South Africa, Chris, because they won it in the end by 4 points. But you look underneath them in second, the Stormers on 19 points, Sharks on 19 points, Cheetahs on 17. The points gap there doesn't sort of say that it was a very one-sided affair and they steamrolled over everybody. No surprises that they're winners, but great to see a competitive competition happening in South Africa.
Yeah, it's great to see a competitive competition, and I think that's exactly what South African rugby needs at the moment. When you have a competition where the Bulls come out 23, the Stormers have got 19, it's not a huge margin. There are no huge gaps, and also just that level of competition I think does great for the players as well, in terms of the best players always rise to the best, and that's exactly what's happening in Super Rugby at the moment.
And Barry, just two important things to note. The first one is the Cheetahs. The Cheetahs, they did very well, I think, to finish as high as they did in fourth, and with 17 points, just a couple of points off the Stormers and the Sharks. But the second thing, which will be of concern to South African rugby, is the Lions. The Lions in fifth place with just 12 points. They won just once. They drew 2 matches and they lost 3 matches. Now, the Lions over the last 5 years been the best team in South African rugby. So for them to have fallen away this badly just over the course of the last 12 months is something that will concern South African rugby.
All right, so Super Rugby Unlocked, as it was called in South Africa, all wrapped up in a nice little bow. Okay, on to the Tri-Nations. It was meant to be the Rugby Championship, of course, but with South Africa pulling out, it's turned into the Tri-Nations. And Australia and Argentina, 15-all it ended. Dave Rennie says that his team seemed to get bored, but in truth, what will matter is what was on the scoreboard at the end, and the Pumas will certainly take that, won't they, Mike?
Yeah, I think Argentina will take it. They dodged a bullet, Argentina. I thought Australia looked the better side. But obviously some ill discipline and some very poor decision making cost them in that game. That should have been at least a 7, 8 or even 10-point margin of victory for the Wallabies. So they'll feel that they missed out on an opportunity. And what does it mean? It means that it opens the door for New Zealand to bounce back in their match versus Argentina to see if they can win the Tri-Nations. And that will be, I think, one of the things that will be haunting Dave Rennie, because he had an opportunity to get one over Argentina and then to possibly beat Argentina again in their second match. But here they drop some valuable points. I'm a bit, though, concerned about Argentina's approach to the game. I think it's a very short-term approach to the game, in that it's a game plan that centers on disruption. It's a game plan that centers on aggression and trying basically to sort of like upset the opposition, rather than actually a game plan that centers on outplaying the opposition. So whilst it may get you a victory here and there, it's not something that you can build on, because sooner or later, teams wisen up. Sooner or later, teams improve in their discipline, and teams become more structured when they play you. And then you're called upon to actually show more out of your skill set. And that is where they'll always fall short.
I completely agree with you, Mike. It's not a pleasant watch for the purist at all, and also smacks of short-termism. At the moment, it's working, but going long-term, and which is what we think Argentina should be thinking about. They should be thinking about the long-term. I don't think that it can be executed with aplomb. Right, some quick Nations Cup results before we go into around the world in 60. England 18-7 over Ireland, Wales 18-0 over Georgia, and then France upending Scotland 22-15.
Hi, I'm Trevor Nyakani, the Blue Bulls and Springbok prop, and now you're listening to ZiFM Sports.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in England, where Russian Daniil Medvedev said he wants to be part of a new series of long-running rivalries in men's tennis after beating Dominic Thiem to win the ATP Finals title last night. The 24-year-old completed a remarkable week with a 4-6, 7-6, 6-4 victory to land the biggest title of his career to date. His victory over third-ranked Thiem following a semi-final win over world number 2 Rafael Nadal and a group stage win win over world number 1 Novak Djokovic means he's only the 4th player to ever beat the top 3 ranked men in a single event. We head over to Australia, where David Warner says he'll weigh up skipping some tours in 2021, with cricket's biosecure bubble putting a strain on how much time can be spent with his family. The Australian batter is nearing the end of 100 days away from his wife and 3 daughters, with his 2-week quarantine stint in Sydney set to end on Thursday. We'll touch down in the United States, where the Boston Celtics and star forward Jason Tatum agreed to a 5-year, $195 million max extension as NBA free agency got underway in frenetic fashion during the weekend. The deal could reportedly approach $200 million with all NBA escalators and will take effect for the 2021-22 season, as the 22-year-old has a year remaining on his rookie contract.
The Casalaga Premier Soccer League, La Liga, Serie A, the English Premier League, the Bundesliga. It all comes together with the Castle on the Casalaga World Football Report.
The Casalaga World Football Reports kicks off in England, and your Premier League results from over the weekend. Newcastle United, they were beaten by Chelsea 2-0 at St. James's Park. Aston Villa with a reverse versus Brighton, they lost to 2-1. Manchester United edging out West Bromwich Albion 1-0 courtesy of a Bruno Fernandes penalty. Take 2 it had to be. I just want to hear your thoughts very quickly, Barry, on that hop, skip and a jump that he does. Ian Wright coming out very outspoken on social media, as well as, of course, on TV shows out in the United Kingdom, saying that should be banned, that there should just be a straightforward run-up for the penalty taker, and that's it.
I agree, because what you've got in Bruno Fernandes' case, it's a double tragedy, because he's got a stuttering run already that causes the goalkeeper to be rocked, and then he's got that skip, that jump he does before actually striking the ball. So you've got a goalkeeper who's now got the new rule where he's got to keep at least 1 foot on the line. I think there's too much disadvantage for keepers. Let it just be a straight run up, and I think strikers are being cut a lot of slack. I'm with Ian Wright on this. Ban that. Let's have a straight run up, and it shouldn't be that a penalty is a guaranteed goal. It should be that it's competitive.
Well, talking about strikers, there's one who's red hot right now, and his name is Calvert-Lewin, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He scored for Everton as they edged out Fulham 3-2. Sheffield United, their woeful start to the season continues. They were beaten by West Ham United 1-0. But no doubt the biggest game of the weekend was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in North London, and Jose Mourinho, manager of Spurs, has hailed his side for an amazing performance after they beat Pep Guardiola's Manchester City 2-0 thanks to goals from Heung-min Son and Giovanni Lo Celso in either half. Let's hear from Jose Mourinho.
For me, I prefer the players to speak, because they are the ones. They were fantastic. They gave everything. They follow a strategy. And football sometimes, and more than ever, strategy plays an important part. And they were amazing. This guy, Harry Kane, represents the spirit of all the other guys. The way he works for the team is the same way the other ones do it. It was very important to respect them and not to forget the team they are. If we follow people speaking about them not being as good as before, if you follow the fake table because they have one match in hand, we would probably play in a different way. But against these guys, we all know how Pep teams are and the quality of the players. We defined a way to play, and was magnificent to see them do what they did. So super congratulations to the players.
Alois, no doubt Jose Mourinho cock-a-hoop praising his players for an amazing performance, because that's what it was. And I mean, no doubt, and an agreement with him that he probably slept very well on Saturday night.
Yeah, of course, it's always good, Mike, when you see a coach praising his players, and it always happens when things are going well. it's actually good to see that things are going well for Jose Mourinho, because we know that if things are not going well, he starts throwing toys around, blaming players sometimes as well. But for Tottenham Hotspur right now, I think everything is hunky-dory. They are on top of the log. They are playing well. They are doing well. And like I said, they were amazing on the day. They played according to, I think it was his script, because you could actually see a team that is playing with purpose, a team that is playing tactically. They were not overawed. They were not doing things haphazardly. You could actually see a system that was actually on display against Man City, and he defended so well. He talked about not giving them a lot of chances, and you could actually see that this team was well-oiled, and they defended so well, and then they attacked so well as well.
And Barry, this was indeed a tactical masterclass, I think, from Jose Mourinho, because it was his tactics that saw Spurs win the points in this game. Because on the balance of play, Manchester City dominated, Manchester City created the chances, they had more of the ball. But in terms of just the way that Tottenham Hotspur were set out, they were resolute in their defending, and they were quite direct whenever they were in possession. I want you to talk about, Barry, the redefinition of Harry Kane as a number 10, because we're seeing him play a very different role under Jose Mourinho, and Jose Mourinho has got to take credit for that.
No, 100%. Jose Mourinho has reinvented the whole team, and I think it's epitomized by the player you talk about, who is Harry Kane, in the sense that last season they were patchy, they were up and down, because I think he was trying. Remember, this is largely a Mauricio Pochettino team, so he was trying to redefine the playing style with the same playing personnel. He brought in a few pieces, and now you're seeing a team that is look at his heat map. He's got touches of the ball in his own box where he's winning duels, and then at the same time he's also doing the same and providing that final killer pass for his attacking partners. It's a phenomenal job by Jose Mourinho, and he's got it absolutely right.
Well, that phenomenal job sees Tottenham Hotspur sitting at the top of the Premier League standings. They've played 9 matches. They've got 20 points, as many as Liverpool, who joined them at the top of the table, courtesy of a thumping 3-0 win over Leicester City last night. And it set a new club record of 64 matches. Chris, Virgil van Dijk not there. Thiago Alcantara not there. Trent Alexander-Arnold not there. Captain Jordan Henderson missing. Mohamed Salah, their star attacker, missing. You can go on and on about the players that Liverpool are missing, but Liverpool continue to do the business.
Liverpool continue to do the business, and that's because Jurgen Klopp, what he's done is create a system. So even if players are missing, even if he doesn't have his first choice as he usually would, especially in this last match, you still have Liverpool playing the Liverpool way, and Liverpool managing to be dominant and to win with margins like 3-0. And it's going to continue that way. Injuries can't stop this team, and neither can COVID-19.
Those are very flattering words coming from you, Chris. But the one thing that I will say is that there's always space for one more on the bus.
I think we're getting there, guys. We're getting close now.
Yeah, absolutely. Alois won't be happy about that. But talking about someone who is unhappy, our producer Sean Tafirinika, after Arsenal once again stuttered in the league, held to a goalless draw by Leeds. They dodged a bullet. They could have been beaten as many as 3 or 4-0 by Leeds, who struck the woodwork on as many as 3 occasions. The highlight of this game, Nicolas Pepe sent off for shoving his head in the face of a defender who went down like he'd been shot by a rocket. But there's no way that Pepe, Alois, should be doing anything like that.
Yeah, Mike, as a professional, I don't think Pepe is supposed to be behaving like that. At a time when Arsenal are also struggling, they're struggling for points. You actually want all your players on the field, and at the same time, you want that motivation of having all the players behaving professionally, so that you can actually fight a good battle together. Because right now things are down at Arsenal. You could even tell, when you watch on the touchline, that his face can tell you that there's a lot of doom and doom at Arsenal. They are not really losing games, but they are not getting the results that they would want. They are not playing as well as they should want. And for a player like Pepe to actually behave the way he did and actually making life difficult for his teammates and his team as well, I think it wasn't really professional and it's not good for Arsenal.
Not good for Arsenal. They find themselves in 11th place after 9 matches played with 13 points, which is the same amount of points as Manchester United in 10th, but Manchester United have played a game less. Manchester City are in 13th. Who would have thought that after 8 matches with 12 points? At the bottom, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Bromwich Albion and Fulham are in 17th. Talking about standings, the Z Fantasy League, Larry FC is leading the way, 629 points. That's Hilary Giwa. And then in second place, Terence Ngomani, box to box Calvert, 625 points after the 68 points you garnered this weekend. And then Sparrows FC is in third place. That's Obvious and Lovo with 625 points. There's a bit of football tonight. Burnley versus Crystal Palace, Wolves versus Southampton, but still, Barry, you have enough body of work, as it were, to decide who the star of the week was in the English Premier League this past weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, as pundits, we're always guilty of picking the strikers because they score a brace, they have assists and all sorts. But today I'm going to pick a goalkeeper, and a goalkeeper was on a losing side, and that is Sam Johnston of West Bromwich Albion. They lost 1-0 against Manchester United, but his performance made the scoreline only 1-0, because that could have ended easily 6-7-0. He pulled off some stunning saves, 1v1 shots from distance. He was fantastic on the day.
From Rufaro to Barberfield, Mandava to Nyamunga, all the perfect moments in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League come together on ZiFM Sport.
Time to go to Germany with the Bundesliga. Your results over the weekend: Freiburg upended at home 3-1 by Mainz. Union Berlin 2-1 winners over Cologne. Borussia Mönchengladbach and Augsburg playing out a 1-1 draw. And Erling Braut Haaland, his full name because he netted 4 goals, and Yusufa Moukoko became the youngest player in the Bundesliga history as Borussia Dortmund routed Hertha Berlin 5-2 to trim Bayern Munich's lead at the top of the table to just 1 point. Alois, as a striker, you must salivate when you watch Erling Haaland play because he's a machine.
He is a machine. He is an animal. You know, I've watched him play. You know, he is menacing, baby. You know, he is a big boy. Yeah. He has got speed. He is tall. He can hit a shot from way out. He can tap them in. He has got it all. Believe you me, we were talking about it when he was playing for his country as well. When he was scoring, he was always menacing. He missed his chances as well. You think that he scored 4? You think he scored 4? He only got 4 chances? No, you could have gotten maybe even 6 because he is always in the box trying to get a chance and hit the ball. He is an animal, and look at his age. And can you imagine when he is like around 24, 25? When he is at his prime around 27, you know, he's just something else. Every striker, any footballer, any fan will salivate at the sight of Erling Haaland.
Chris, had we been doing the show back then, we would have probably been saying the same thing when Robert Lewandowski was at Borussia Dortmund. Now we're talking about Erling Haaland. So let me ask you a moot point. Who's your player of the week for the Bundesliga?
Erling Haaland, absolutely incredible performance. I mean, the 4 goals in 1 game. It was an incredible performance, and you couldn't get enough of watching him go. So obviously,
I suspected as much. So let's wrap up the results. But your player of the week in the Bundesliga is, of course, Erling Haaland. Arminia Bielefeld, they were upended at home 2-1 by Bayer Leverkusen. Wolfsburg beating Schalke 04 2-0. Hoffenheim and Stuttgart playing out a 6-goal thriller, 3-3. That one ended in the Eintracht Frankfurt 1-1 draw with RB Leipzig. Lackluster Bayern Munich had to come from behind to rescue a 1-1 draw against Werder Bremen, slipping up for only the second time in their last 35 matches in all comps.
Heading into Italy now for some news out of Serie A. Your weekend results: Crotone going down 2-0 against Lazio, Spezia and Atalanta drawing 0-0. Juventus 2-0 win against Cagliari. Fiorentino going down against Benevento 1-0. Romelu Lukaku, he admitted that his flawed Inter Milan side still can't be considered a great team after his double helped to complete a thrilling second half comeback from 2 goals down to beat Torino 4-2, ending a 4-match winless run in all competitions. Alois, that was an incredible comeback by Inter Milan, and Romelu Lukaku is proving to be a key player for Inter Milan.
Of course, Chris, he is a very good player. You know, we spoke about it when he left Manchester United, that he left Manchester United dry up front because he was scoring goals. No matter how bad he can be, he will give you 20 plus goals a season. And he went to AC Milan to score goals, and he is scoring goals. They benefited from Manchester United's loss, obviously, and now they are fighting for the championship. They will be here and there about, and they have to have a Lukaku in their team, because definitely he is going to give them the goals that they need for their push for the championship. He is a valuable player. He is doing it. He is doing what we know that he is capable of doing, and I'm actually happy for him, because the way he left Manchester United was not good. So he's actually proving a lot of people that, you know what, I'm actually a good player and I was never supposed to be pushed the way I was, and he's enjoying himself as well. You know, he's enjoying his football. When a striker scores goals, obviously he's enjoying himself, because that's what he's paid for, and when he does that, he's satisfied.
He's satisfied, and I'm sure Inter Milan fans are satisfied as well. Some more results from the weekend: Roma 3-0 against Parma, Sampdoria going down against Bologna 2-1, Sassuolo with a 2-0 win against Hellas Verona, and Udinese 1-0 triumphant against Genoa. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, though, continuing to score. That brings his tally to 10 league goals this season before limping off with a muscle strain as AC Milan stayed on top of Serie A with a 3-1 win at 10-men Napoli. And that brings us to our weekend star. Mike, who is your star of the week?
Well, Ibrahimovic had a shout, but to be honest, you can't look further than Romelu Lukaku. His team was 2-0 down, and then they launched an almighty comeback to win the game 4-2, and he had a hand in all 4 goals. 2 assists, and of course 2 goals for himself. So he's definitely the star of the week in Italy.
Alcohol may be hazardous to health if consumed to excess. The operation of machinery or driving after the consumption of alcohol is not advisable. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18 years.
Castle Lager is more than just beer. It's pure liquid gold, crafted from the finest local ingredients to deliver a taste that is somewhat dry, somewhat bitter, but never sweet. It's the taste that stood the test of time. It all comes together with a castle.
Well, the big game in Spain this past weekend was Barcelona's visit to the capital to take on Atletico Madrid, and they limped out of the capital back to Catalonia following a 1-0 loss that also saw them lose Gerard Piqué to a serious knee injury, and of course Sergio Roberto, who can play in midfield or right back. He's also said to be out for 2 months. So a very, very, very costly weekend outing for Barcelona, not just in terms of points, but in terms of personnel, Barry. Those are key players that they're going to be missing.
Yeah, ridiculously unfortunate for a team that can ill afford it, because right now Barcelona hasn't found the Koeman way, where it's sketchy results up and down, and also even in selection there is no set team that he's decided upon, and now he's got to juggle his pack. Not easy for the man.
Not easy for the man. Real Madrid themselves, arch rivals to Barcelona, are not having it easy this season. They considered a 4th penalty in 2 games as they drew 1-1 at Villarreal, as they dropped 2 points for the 2nd game in a row. Real Sociedad coach Imanol Alguacil insisted the table means nothing despite his team moving 3 points clear at the top of La Liga after beating Cadiz 1-0 last night. So it's a good season for Real Sociedad Other results, Osasuna and Huesca played out a 1-1 draw, as did Levante and Elche. Sevilla, they also mounted something of a comeback to beat Celta Vigo 4-2. Aiba and Getafe in a goalless draw. Real Valladolid won on the road 3-1 at Granada, and Alaves and Valencia played a 2-2 draw. Alois Munjira, who's your star of the week in Spain?
A great performance, a defensive performance from Atletico Madrid, and much of it I credit it to the goalkeeper. You know, the goalkeeper did so well organizing the defense, and a lot of people sometimes they don't see how brilliant the goalkeeper is when the shots or the headers are coming directly into his arms, into his hands. But that is the hallmark of a good goalkeeper. So I give it to Oblak as my player of the week for this in Spanish La Liga.
And don't forget, there's Monday Night Football, big game. Athletic Club versus Real Betis at San Mames.
All right, we're out of time. We got to go, but some quick results out of the DStv Premiership key results. Kaizer Chiefs finally scoring goals from open play and not from set pieces. Kamabilia getting 2 assists in a 2-2 draw with Golden Arrows. Orlando Pirates looking good value, 2-1 winners over SuperSport United, and then Mamelodi Sundowns in what should have been a facile victory over Amazulu because they looked like they were going to do it. It ended up 4-3 in favor of Mamelodi Sundowns, and Amazulu looking like good competition there. We are done. We gotta go. We'll catch you tomorrow, 6:05. Don't miss the show. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.